Could you explain to me how you transitioned from fighter to promoter?
Yeah, I mean, my story is pretty basic. Like, I wanted to be a fighter, and I was a guy that never really enjoyed running on a treadmill. I was never a guy who really enjoyed like weightlifting. I always played sports growing up, so once I got out of high school, I was looking for some sort of sport outlet, and I found MMA. And then I competed a few times toward like 28, 29 years old, and at the time I was managing a function facility that back in the 80s hosted boxing events. And a promoter that I fought for was looking for a venue. I talked to the owners. We ended up doing a show there. But all the bad things you hear about promoters like kind of came to fruition. He bounced checks. He didn't pay fighters and just kind of did a shitty job. So the owners came to me and said, listen, you're a fighter. We have the venue. You know, your background's in marketing and sales. Let's just do it without that promotion. And, you know, that's kind of how Cagetitans started a few years. You know, we did a couple events. That other company ended up going out of business. So, you know, bad business practices put them out of business. And, you know, here we are 14 years later.
Gotcha. So I guess that kind of brings me to my next question, which would be how do you manage to stay in business for this long? I mean, we see promotions come and go all the time, especially in New England. So I mean, what do you attribute your success to?
I think in the early days, I attribute to like the fact that you know, I did fight. So like whenever we do things, like we're always putting what's like we're a fighter first promotion. Like and a lot of companies say that in other fight promotions, not necessarily here in New England, but other promotions across the country say we're fighters first, fans first. But it's like I was a fighter, and I really do believe in that. Like whether it's the walkout, I actually fought at the venue that we host our events at, and I remember back then I was like, man, they should do this, they should do that. And then when I had the promotion, I remember when I was fighting there, what I would want to see, and then we kind of, you know, it piggybacked off that. So I say the early days was the fact that you know we were a fighter first promotion because everything that I did it with a fighter mentality. And then I think what kind of gives the longevity, so to speak, is the fact that you know with Cagetitans, you know we've always been like a marketing company. I say this all the time. We're a marketing company that markets fights. Because my background was in marketing and sales. When I fought, it was guys who just kind of came in and did a fight company. And they would hand you tickets as a fighter and say, go sell tickets. And it's like, okay, well, you got posters. No, you know, I famously tell people I got a Word document as my first fight poster, and I went out and made my own poster. So like that's what promotions were like, and promotions still to this day are still like that. They barely promote their sport or their events, and they just rely on the fighters to sell tickets. And I think what we do is, yes, we want fighters to go out there and promote and sell tickets, but we want to give them you know avenues to do such, whether it's posters, whether it's interviews, whether it's coming on our podcast, whatever it is. Like back in the MySpace and early Facebook days before Instagram and all the new social media technology, like I would see fighters just be like, buy tickets from me, buy tickets, hey, my fight's this, buy tickets. And they, you know, they would whore themselves out to sell tickets, and they'd have no substance behind it. So I think that gave us the longevity. Is like we're kind of a marketing company that happens to market fighters. Now, if you took what we did, you know, we market the beer, like the beer behind us, like with Second Wind and things like that. Like, you know, first and foremost, we're marketing, and I think that's a critical part of the sport at the regional level, and as you see at the highest level, it's all marketing. And I think that we've really embraced that, and you know, and it's really come to fruition. You know, we become a brand now where people recognize us, and fighters know what to expect if they're fighting for Cagetitans. You know, it's simple things like some of my fights. I don't even have videos of my fights, and like you know, one day when I look back when I'm a kid, I want to be like, "Wow, here." I mean, when my kids are older, and I might want to show them videos of my fights, I don't even have that. Some promotions don't even take pictures at fights. Like, you know, it's just crazy stuff like that. So like you know, those are some of the reasons why I think we have some longevity. And we've luckily partnered up with a great venue, and I think that our venue and the atmosphere that it provides is just it's a show that's second to none on the regional ranks.
Absolutely. I mean, you said quite a bit there, but I mean, it's definitely true. Like, I mean, I have this memory of I think it's Sean Baker, the kid out of Brockton, big guy, but he was just in a I think it was an LA Fitness parking lot, shirtless, just like buy my tickets. I was like, where, when, who, how? Like it was just it's crazy. Like, you do give the guys the resources to do that. I mean, I see people all the time. They just kind of flick their tickets on social media, and they're like, hey, I got them. They're loud, they're bright. It's really cool what you guys do. So what have you learned in 62 plus fights? I mean, I've kind of seen the brand grow from back in the day, like I believe a training partner of mine said he met a guy at Dunkin' Donuts to go set up a fight for Cage Titans, and this was maybe 20 years ago now. But I mean, just out of curiosity, like what have you learned, and how do you apply it now that you've evolved?
It's funny. I gotta reference back the neck breaker Baker from Brockton. He did end up fighting for Cage Titans a few times. Actually went to elementary school in Brockton, so it's funny to hear that name come up. But I think what we've learned over the years, I think that you you got to be in competition with yourself. And I say it in everything we say we believe. Like when we talk about we are Cage Titans, like I truly believe that. Like whether you're the fighter, the corner, the people selling beers in the crowd, like the fans, everybody is a part of the show. And that's what makes Cage Titans events so special because everybody's a part of it. And everybody needs everybody, and no one's above anybody else on that pecking chart of what makes Cage Titans. It's like, well, the fans are like, well, if it wasn't for the fighters, like what would it be? It's like, well, without you guys, it wouldn't be the feel that it is. So like everybody needs everybody. So that's one thing. I mean, we believe in that. It's not just a marketing catchphrase. Like we are Cage Titans. The other thing that I say a lot is we raise our own bar. Like yeah, we do keep an eye on other promotions and see what they're doing that maybe they could be bringing to the table that we haven't thought about. But at the same token, like we're very much entrenched in Cage Titans in raising our own bar. Like every show, without fail, no matter how successful it is, I'm going back to the drawing board and be like, could we add something a little bit more this show? What could we add to enhance it? I think that it's also just kind of like helped our progression because we're constantly evolving and we're constantly changing. Um, and I think that's something we learned. Like you have to kind of always internalize and look at yourselves. Like people, even my own staff sometimes find it hard to believe. Like they'll see me working on something. They're like, Mike, what are you doing? No one's going to notice. It's like, I don't care if no one notices. I notice. And it's something that I want to improve or enhance or fix. So I'm going to do it. Whether no one notices it or everybody notices it. So I think over the years, it's just, really kind of honing in on our own product, never being okay with any level of success we have. And it's kind of like I liken it to the fighters and their martial arts journey. It's like, are you ever really a complete fighter? No matter how much success you have, there's always something more you can learn. And I look at that now that I've transitioned out of fighting, which some guys don't even know that I fought. Like, they're like, wow, you fought 15 years ago. Like, I've seen my progression kind of go from, hey, Mike's a fighter and he started a fight company to I think the guy who runs Cage Titans might have fought back in the day to now it's like they don't even know. So I can't like rely on that anymore. So that's also an evolution. Um, but I do liken our progression to their martial arts journey as fighters. Like, you're always in the gym grinding. No matter how great your performance was in your last fight, you're still looking to improve and add new tools to the toolbox. And I think that we look at our approach to Cage Titans that same way. So that's another thing that we've learned over the years, like constantly evolve, constantly try to change things up. And most importantly, like every fighter's important. That's probably the biggest thing that I think that gets missed sometimes. I hate to give out the secret sauce, but it's just like whether it's your first time fighting and you may never fight again, or you're a guy at the top of the card who could be with a win in the UFC in your next fight. Like everybody's important on that card. Everybody's treated the same. And I think that's also something that I've learned over the years that helps resonate with the fans and also the fighters in the schools. One of my favorite stories, as you can tell, I like to talk, but one of my favorite stories is, John Connors, actually. He's been around longer than I was fighting. He's probably been around 20, 30 years. I can't say how long, but one of the early shows, I went in the locker room and kind of talked to his fighter, and he goes, "Man, I've been doing this for X amount of years at the time." That's what he told me. He goes, "I've never had a promoter or a matchmaker come and talk to my guy who lost." And I was like, "Listen, man," I go, "yeah, everybody's going to go talk to the winner." I said, "But you had a part in that. Yes, you didn't win, but your fighter had a part in that." And it just kind of resonated with me. And that's something I always try to do. Whether you won or lost, like, you're still important to the event. And usually when I go back, I throw a lot of fighters off. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" They're like, "I just lost. How do you think I'm doing?" I'm like, "All right, I understand that initial reaction, but like, how you doing? Like, besides the fact that you lost, like, was the lead up what you expected? How do you feel? Like, besides the losing, that is, yes, that's super important, but the experience is important as well. And a lot of fighters that happen to not win, when I go and talk to them, but I'll always do it because it's something that stuck with me. Probably like Cagetitans in 2012 when John Connor said it to me, and it's always stuck.
Yeah, I mean, like you said too, it's your marketing company, so you need that feedback from fighters because you do want to know how their experience was. They're your clients, they're who you serve. But on the same note, you know what I mean? Like they could have a night where they one punch knock out somebody, and the ring girl follows them on Instagram, and they could have another night where they get starched in 10 seconds, and it kind of clouds their judgment a little bit. So I mean, it's kind of cool that you have a means of getting that feedback out of them.
Yeah, it's and you bring up a great point. Is like, it also has been negative sometimes. Like, I remember fighters who have asked me to pull down when they do get starched in 10 seconds. They're like, "Can you pull that video down? Like, stop highlighting it." It's like, well, as much as that sucks for you, would you like it if I pulled down every video that you did the starching? Like, yeah, you starched 5 guys in a row in a minute, but you got starched one time and you're mad that I posted. Like, unfortunately, like, that, kind of opening their eyes and being like, "Listen, that's not the part that defines you and in this journey of your career," and kind of making them realize, like, what makes us good is that we're going to tell the story no matter what. And sometimes you're the winner in that story, sometimes you're the loser, but you got to at least appreciate the process.
Absolutely. So with that being said, what's something you wish you could tell coaches, fighters, fans? Just kind of if this was Mike's public service announcement, what's something you wish you could kind of broadcast? I guess.
Ooh, that's, man, I've never had that question. Uh, I'd have to think, but my initial reaction, man, enjoy the moment and really like the ups and the downs, and always try to find balance. Very early in my career, I had a very difficult time finding balance, and it was like I was always all in, and then you will eventually, like, that's just not sustainable. So I guess, like, early in our cage science thing, we always used to do events every 10 weeks. And they're like, "Why?" It's like, well, put everything have into that fight. Then you need at least 2 weeks off from nothing. Like, I don't go to the gym, don't, like, do anything besides just kind of recover. But you're not just recovering your body from the fight. You're recovering your entire life, because I promise you, during those lead up to your fight, you probably spent less time with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You probably were distracted every day at work. You probably didn't see your family as much and go to parties or events that your family was having because you're so focused on training. It's like, I kind of like put that buffer in there because I wanted people to realize the importance of kind of balancing things out and kind of grounding themselves a little bit, whether it's just like kind of get back to your family and doing things like that. So, I think it's finding balance in the life, because this is a very difficult sport to pursue, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and you kind of have to find balance somewhere and kind of rest in that area of. I don't know. I mean, my initial thing is that I don't think that's the best answer. But it's just something that came to mind. You know, over the years of this journey, like, there was a time in my life that it was like every phone call I answered, every email, every this, and it was just like I could not focus on anything else besides this. And then in the last few years, I've been trying to, like, kind of balance it out more, and I wish I could have maybe learned that a little earlier. Um, so that's something for me on my journey is probably balance, but fighters as well, because I'm telling you right now, there's a fighter at their 9 to 5 right this moment that's probably thinking of his fight in a week and a half, and his productivity is down, and his bosses know he's probably has a fight in a week and a half, so they're kind of like, he's got a fight next week. We'll let it slide. There's a lot of things that kind of take a back seat when you're fighting. So I think that just kind of finding that happy medium and that balance and trying to always kind of bring back some sort of balance in your life is my long-winded answer to that.
No, that's a great answer. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick because as I watch you and I see the branded beer behind you and the Cage Titans logo, do you think you would have been able to achieve that same level without that hyper focus? Because I mean, like you said, when you take a fight, you put a lot more effort into that, and things kind of fall by the wayside. But your fighting skill, elevates by that same note. So I'm just kind of curious. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm the same way. It's just older
You know
man
me.
advice, you know.
Listen, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. And maybe I'm only able to balance at this tail end now that I'm in year 14, 15, because I put so much time in the early days. So you're not wrong. You know, so balance is how you look at it. Because maybe I was hyper focused for my first
Right.
10 years
Right.
of this, and now my next 10 will be some sort of balance. And the balance is the 20-year span, not the 10-year window. Because for the last 10 years, all I did was just eat, sleep, drink. And then since COVID, I think, is really where this whole balance piece came for me. Like, listen, I don't have to answer every phone call. I don't have to answer every email or every text message, you know, is so like you're absolutely listen, man. You stumped me. I guess I got to reverse my advice. But I am a firm believer in, because even when I was hyper focused, I did always take those 2 weeks off. It was like, don't message me. I'm not answering you. Like, so even then, I did kind of find a little bit of balance. Um, but you're right. You're right, man. You gotta, I will say this though. So a lot of fighters give me that I'm all in thing. So this is a good segue. Like, I'm all in. I quit my job. I did this. I did that. I'm all in. And I think that I don't want to tell people they shouldn't do that, but I think that's just a dumb thing. Like, you can be all in and still carry a job and still be focused and still have that balance in your life. Like, because I'll tell you right now, there's 24 hours in a day. Let's say you sleep 8 to 10 of them. That's still 14 hours left. You're not training 14 hours in a day. That doesn't mean you're all in because you quit your job. When I was fighting, I had kids and I worked a full-time job. You find the ways to kind of balance everything out. Like, our gym didn't have an early morning session, so I started running an early morning strength and conditioning thing at the gym that I was going to, so that I could train before I put my kids on the bus and then went to my job, for my 9 to 5. So, like, maybe this balanced conversation, there's somewhere in the middle, but I do hear a lot of times guys like, I quit my job, I'm all in. I'm like, cool. You can only really train for like an hour or two hardcore. You might be the first one at the gym and the last one to leave because you're sitting around shooting the shit for 6 hours, but I promise you're not training for 6 hours. It's physically impossible. So, kind of the counterpoint, your point, that's another thing that I hear a lot that I wish, fighters would understand a little bit more. Like, look at Stipe Miocic. He's a full-time firefighter, and he was the heavyweight champ of the world. Like, so I think that whole all in on your dreams and put all your eggs in the basket, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. I guess I'd be the guy that goes to schools when all the kids go, I'm going to be a baseball player and play for the Red Sox. I want to be like, yeah, kid, that's a great dream, but let's also put some other eggs in some other baskets, because that's a little bit, like, man, I guess I'm a Debbie Downer today. Maybe it's the snow out there, but I mean, I just wish sometimes people would understand that. And maybe my delivery's not the best, but I truly do feel that, like, when you mentioned you got to be all in, it's like, yeah, you do, but that doesn't mean everything in the world and everything in life. And like, you're not going to be less of a fighter if you have a plan B. Like, we're not less of a promotion. The fact that I have a day job, like, it sounds nice, but it's not the end all be all. I guess. Is it making sense?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You've seen guys come and go, and it's a big deal when a guy goes from, New England to the UFC. It's celebrated. So I mean, and you've seen it's maybe what, 2% if we're being generous here. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's being realistic. So I mean, and you've also like kind of zoomed out, so you're saying it correctly. Like you did 10 years of hard work, and now you're able to kind of not rest on your laurels, but you have a reputation, so people know what to expect. They know Mike's going to do these things, and you can, kind of rest on that because you put that work in up front.
Alpha Brain is one of the most important supplements that I've ever found ever in my life, if not the most important one, and the one that I cherish the most. Anytime I have to use my memory, anytime cognitive function is important, which is most of the things that I do, I use Alpha Brain constantly.
Just first of all, could you talk to me about future of fighting? What inspired you to start your own promotion?
I've had a gym and I've been coaching fighters here in the city for well over 10 years, almost 15 years. And shows have kind of come and gone in the Louisville area. And we had a pretty nice show that had been here for a couple years, and it went away. And we were actually at an event, and my guys were fighting there. And every event that comes to town, I'll have 4 or 5, even 6 guys fighting on these cards, have for years. And at this event, the lights went out during one of the fights, and then we had to carry chairs from they didn't have stools. We had to carry chairs into the ring in between rounds, and just a bunch of little things. And one of my black belts was there with me, and I said, man, we shouldn't be having to fight and stuff like this. Our guys should have better opportunity than this. I said, we should put on a show. And he just kind of laughed at me. And about 2 weeks later, I called him back. I said, hey, remember when I asked you about putting on that show? And he said, yeah. I said, well, we're going to do it. And I just made a decision that we needed to put one on. I reached out to the commission and found out what it would take, and I just jumped all the way in. So,
All right, that's kind of cool to hear. I mean, you did it out of necessity, not necessarily just, oh, I want to make some money. It was more, we need this around
yeah.
here.
So I've been like I said, I own a gym. I've been in martial arts and mixed martial arts a long time. I know better than to do stuff for money when it comes to martial arts. It's not the most profitable thing for the most part. I'm lucky to make a decent living by doing it, but I definitely did not do this for the financial gain. I'm hoping to get some financial gain at the end of it. I'm not doing it all for free, but the whole idea because we need a platform for the fighters and something. So I think it's going to benefit the fighters at the end of the day, because this isn't just some random person putting on a show. I'm local. I'm a local entrepreneur. I have fighters I used to fight. So, of course, I want this to be a good event with good media, and I want to treat everybody right because it's my own people that are there as well as other people. So,
I got you. So you see this as more being a long-term league, not just, sporadic events.
yeah. So we're going to do 4 a year. We got 4. We've already got our first 3 planned this year. Next year, I might do 5 this year, but 4 for sure. We're doing all Louisville shows, and then we're looking to do 1 or 2 in Lexington as well this year. Next year, we're going to do 6 for sure, and then hoping to do 8 shows per year by like the 3rd to 5th year. So we definitely have ideas to keep this thing rolling and grow it into a good-sized regional show, and possibly a feeder show for the bigger shows, LFA, Bellator, hopefully UFC, kind of the first step in that direction.
That's awesome, man. I look forward to seeing it grow. So I guess from a business standpoint, you've already had a show under your belt. What's something you could, or you wish you could tell fighters or coaches or just fans? What's something you would like just the general public to know?
Well, our show is going to be a little bit different. I want it to be a full experience. I want it to be an experience for the fighters where they get the full weigh-in experience. We have good weigh-ins. We got media that covers the weigh-ins. We give out hydration products to the fighters after the weigh-ins, help them with their hydration. Try to make the whole experience for the fighters. We have interviews afterwards, for photographer there taking pictures. And then also for the fans, as soon as you walk in, there's merch tables and lights and the DJs playing music, and just it's a whole different vibe. It's a dress and impress vibe. It's not super upscale, but a little bit more upscale than the normal shows you go to. So plan to come out, have a good time, see some good fights, and support, of course, local athletes.
Okay. So, in your last show, you had some pretty spectacular performances, a lot of finishes. The crowd was loud, but like you said, the lights were great. How do you plan on topping it in this next show?
Yeah, so our first show, it's going to be tough. They were all finishes. We had no fights go to decision. We could have not even had the judges come that night, which was crazy. I've been to a lot of shows over the last 15 or 16, 18 years, however long it's been, and I don't remember if I've been to any that were all finishes, but we're just going to top it with more great fights. The production will be a little bit better. The whole process will be a little bit better because everything went good, but this was our first time, so the way we do tickets will be better. The way we do seating will be better. The way we do lighting will be better. Everything will be a little bit better. The fights will be good as always. They'll be matched right. And of course, we always have some cool surprises. We'll announce our third event. I've got a lot of stuff coming up. So
Awesome. And I guess this is my last question, and then you can give your shout outs or say anything else you'd like to say. But what's something you'd like to accomplish as a promoter? I know you're not in it for the money, but I mean, what's your goal?
My goal would be to build a platform for regional fighters to, like I said, get seen at the next level. We have LFA coming here in town the end of March, and we're working with them, got them coming out to our show, and also, hopefully in the future going to be feeding people to shows like them, Bellator, the other shows, and really just, like I say, giving the guys and girls a platform to be seen at the next level. Good media, like I said, multiple photographers, multiple videographers, multiple camera angles. We're adding instant replay at the next one on the next show. So the pay-per-view feed will be better next time. Everything will be a little bit better. Like I said, that was our first show. I'm very proud of how it went. I'm pretty critical on stuff, and I'm very proud of how it went, but everything will be better. And then the fights, of course, will be good, just like they were. It was hard to say they'll be better because the fights in the first one were great. We had female knockouts. We had a standing elbow knockout in the main event. Head kick with a knee finish also in an amateur title fight. So it's going to be hard to top that, but we know we'll be full of some awesome fights, an exciting night, and that's March 9th. So.
Awesome. I mean, it looks great. Like I said, like everything I've seen. I mean, I wasn't in attendance, but just how it lives on social media, it looks phenomenal. It's hard to believe it was your first show.
I'm trying hard to build a team to do this again. I've been around this stuff for a while, and I have a team. We put on other events through my gym. I have a nonprofit. We put on some nonprofit boxing events, some smaller shows. And then I actually started a boxing promotion last year, 5-Star Promotions. We did 2 events. So we've had like some kind of test runs on this. So I've built a team that really, they got my back as far as everything. Like I said, we got a DJ, we got the lights, we got somebody that almost falls into place to do everything. And I couldn't do it without the team. So
that's awesome, man. I didn't realize you were 5-Star Boxing as well, but
Yeah. So Coach Aaron Shekels is 5-Star Boxing. Their program's been ran out of Area 502 for years. So that's why we call ourselves the 5. We got 5-Star, we got Area 502. So 5-Star Promotions is kind of 5-Star Boxing. It's all the events are at Area 502 at our gym. So
awesome, man. Awesome. So I mean, that covers all my questions. Floor is yours. Anything else you'd like to get out?
I mean, there's probably people I forget, but thanks to our sponsors, we couldn't do it without the sponsors, the Fox Den, Precision Garage Door, Pack Mule Moving, Next Level Sports Nutrition, Epperson Screen Printing. There's so many more, I can't name them all, but those are just some of our Beard HVAC. So many sponsors that help us make it happen. I like to thank them. Again, my team, I couldn't do it without the team. Our matchmaker, Hard Rock. everybody, really, my wife, and that's it. I always got to thank her. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Everything looks great. Look forward to seeing the next one. And thank you for the time.
Appreciate it. Maybe next one you come out to it, man.
I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch, definitely.
Sounds good, bro.
All right. Take it easy.